Who likes to go to the state fair and try all the fair foods? Welcome back, friends. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Today I'm going to show you some fair food favorites that you can make at home. So come join me and let's get started. I'm going to make state fair chocolate chip cookies. I have half of a cup of softened butter, or 1 stick. You could use margarine if you'd like. I just put it in the microwave about 30 seconds. And then I need half of a cup of shortening. Mix that until it's creamy. Scrape the sides. You need 1 1/4 cup of white sugar. 3/4 cup of brown sugar, and make sure when you're measuring it, you push it down to pack it in. You want the shape of your measuring cup for the sugar, like that. If nothing else, it looks cool. And then I'm going to turn on the mixer and cream those together. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 2 eggs, and then mix that together. Add 2 1/4 cup of flour. I'm just going to do a little at a time and then mix in between. And then 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And blend that all together. I'm just going to make sure we got it all mixed in and just kind of peek at the bottom, and it looks good. All right, that's all mixed in. Scrape off your mixer, your beaters, your paddle, whatever kind of mixer you have. Just get it all off of there. Next, you're going to need chocolate chips. I just have this 11.5 ounce bag. And you can add, you don't have to use the whole bag if you don't want to. Start with 1 cup, and if you need to add more, go for it. You could add the whole bag if you'd like. I'm going to measure 1 cup. Just stir it in. I'm just going to use my spatula here. This actually looks good with 1 cup of chocolate chips. I'm going to add 1/3 cup extra, but that's not necessary. But I don't care. I'm going to add it anyway. The rest of the chocolate chips I'm just going to put in a Ziploc bag and save for another time. It's not enough for cookies, but it's enough for other things, even snacking on, whatever you like. I use the milk chocolate chips, but you can use semi-sweet chips if you'd like, or butterscotch if you want that, whatever. All right, I'm gonna cover this and put it in the refrigerator for 30 minutes. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees. I'm going to grease the pan. I'm just going to use my butter wrapper. There's a little bit of butter left over on there. I have my 1 tablespoon size scooper. If you don't have that, you can just use a spoon, obviously. Just going to scoop these out and scoop it. Make sure you clean your hands before you do this. And just roll it in a ball. You do not want to skip the step of refrigerating your dough. It's going to be very soft and harder to work with if you skip that step. So make sure you're refrigerating it for at least 30 minutes. I think I did mine for an hour. Now I'm going to bake these for 8 minutes. I baked these for 9 minutes. I checked them after 8 minutes and they still looked really doughy, which I think is kind of the point, but I went 1 more minute and they're still going to be doughy and soft, but I'm going to leave them sit for 3 minutes on the pan before I take them off and put them on a cooling rack. All right, these are still pretty soft, but they'll be okay. This side I baked for 8 minutes and this side I baked for 9 minutes, and there's a slight difference. The ones I baked for 9 minutes are a little bit doughier in the middle. They're a little doughy on the 9-minute one, but they're really good. And they're crispy on the outside, light brown on the bottom, and break it open. Oh yeah, it's soft and gooey and delicious. This recipe makes about 4.5 dozen, I actually got 4 dozen and 5 cookies. So it was 1 cookie short of 4.5 dozen. And if you're baking them for 8 minutes, they are going to be a little stickier because they are doughier. So when you're storing them, they will stick together. That's okay, you just get 2 cookies instead of 1, right? How about some State Fair caramel corn? You need 2/3 cup of popcorn seeds popped. I'm just going to use the air popper. The measurement for that is 1/3 cup, so I need to make 2 batches of popcorn in there and there. So I'll need 2 batches of popcorn. I like to go through and make sure there aren't any seeds in there. Make sure you wash your hands first, and then just kind of pick through, taking out any seeds. Nobody wants to crack a tooth when they're eating this, so. To make the caramel, I have 2 sticks of butter. You can use margarine if you'd like. And then I'm going to add 2 cups of brown sugar. I just have a medium-sized saucepan. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I have pink Himalayan salt. You can use kosher salt or just table salt is fine too. And 1/2 cup of light corn syrup. I put this on a medium-high heat, just kind of in between the two. You want the sugar to melt a little bit. I'm just going to try to whisk it a little bit. It's a little thick right now. All right, the sugar has melted, but the butter still has not. That's okay. We just want the sugar melted. I'm going to turn the heat to a medium and bring it to a boil. And now it's coming to a boil. You know, let it boil like this for 4 minutes. It'll actually probably come to a rolling boil. That's just fine. Just keep stirring it for 4 minutes. You can see the color is getting a little bit lighter. My time is up. I'm going to remove it from the heat, and then I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract and whisk that in. Ooh, be very careful not to burn yourself. And then it's going to get even more fluffy, frothy, whatever word you want to call it. I'm going to add the 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Just that in case you don't know what it is, that's what it is. Foamy is the word I was looking for. All right. Whisk that up really good. I'm going to pour this over the popcorn. All right, I'm going to pour this over just a little bit. Oh, that's more than a little bit. There's a little bit left. Just stir it up as much as you can. I did end up putting the popcorn back into this bowl because this is a little bit bigger than my other one, so a little bit more room to work with. Just going to stir this up. You want to get all of these coated. I'm going to get the rest of this in there and then stir it up. I have 2 greased baking sheets this size. Are pretty big ones. Doesn't this look good? I wouldn't try it right now. You'll burn your mouth. Ask me how I know. All right, I'm going to put 1/2 on this pan and 1/2 on the other pan, and then we're going to bake this at 275 degrees for 40 minutes total, but every 10-15 minutes. I know that doesn't eat 15 minutes does not add up to 40 minutes. It would be 45, but every 10 to 15 minutes, take it out and stir it. The caramel corn is done. I'm gonna take it off the pan. I've flipped it many times. I'm just gonna put it on. I have wax paper on my counter. I'm not just dumping it on the counter. Put it on some wax paper. Usually I put the wax paper on top of my stove top, but I am using it right now, so that's not gonna work. So I'm just gonna get all this popcorn on this wax paper, and I'm gonna spread it out, and I'll show you what that looks like. You could add nuts to this if you wanted before you add the caramel sauce to the popcorn. Just stir it in and bake with it. But this is what it looks like. I'm gonna let this cool about 20 to 30 minutes, and then I'm gonna put it in either a Ziploc bag or a container with a lid on it. And that's your State Fair caramel corn. I'm gonna try to make some State Fair lemonade. I have 1 lemon, and I've rinsed it off really good. Now I'm going to roll it, kind of press down and just roll it like this, just to get some of the juices in there going. I'm going to cut this in half and then cut each half into quarters. The recipe says it makes enough for 2 glasses. I am just going to mix it all up in one, and then we'll see what happens. Smells good. I need half of a cup of sugar, and I think I was supposed to put that on the bottom. We'll just do it this way. And then now I have to muddle. I do not have a muddler. Kudos to you if you do. It says you could use a wooden spoon. I really don't see how that would work, but I do have one of these little guys that I use for dough. I'm just gonna do that. You just push. I'm making a mess. Just push it down. Let's put these. You know what? Let's put the. Just keep the peeling up. About that. That might be better. The idea is to get the lemon flavor in your sugar. There we go. Oh, that might work. I'm just gonna squish this down. There are some seeds in here. Thought maybe a slotted spoon would help take them out. I do have clean hands, so I am just going to do that because silly me, a slotted spoon, guess what happens to the seeds? They just go through the slots. So, well, maybe not. All right, get all the seeds out. Unless you want seeds in your lemonade. I do not. I am just going to put this in the pitcher. Scrape it all off. I need 1.5 cups of cold water. There's still some sugar in here, so I am going to pour some of that water in there. Get all that, just stir it around. And then pour that in the pitcher. And then add the rest. That doesn't look like very much. I'm just gonna mix it up. If you have a jar or something you can shake it without it splashing everywhere, you can use that. All right, I have 2 glasses. I'm gonna put some ice in there. All right, and then you just pour the lemonade over the top. If you are using this in a shaker, it says to add the ice to it and then shake it. The lemons go in the glasses. Get some fun straws in there. I'm gonna sample one. It's really good. It actually does taste like a State Fair lemonade. Did you know that you can make lemonade with bottled lemon juice? The recipe is right on the bottle. It tastes similar to State Fair lemonade, and it's a lot easier to make. I have 6.5 cups of cold water in the pitcher, and then I need 1 cup of the lemon juice. So you gotta shake it up really good. And 1 cup. Add the lemon juice, and then 1 cup of sugar. If you have stevia or a sugar substitute, you could use that too. And then mix it up. Stir it up or use this. My lemon juice is mixed up. You can drink it just like this, or if you'd like to add some lemon slices to it, you could do that. I would do maybe 3 of them. If you want some to garnish your glasses, you can put 1 in each glass. That's how you make lemonade from lemon juice. Everyone loves mini donuts at the fair. I'm going to make donut holes in a mini muffin pan. I need 5 tablespoons of margarine or butter. Go to 5, and I'm going to cut. I'm going to add 1/2 cup of sugar and then mix that together. Mix until it's creamy and looks kind of like that. And then add 1 egg. Add 1.5 cups of flour, just all-purpose flour. 2 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. 1/2 cup of milk. You can use any kind of milk, 1%, 2%, skim. I have some evaporated milk that I need to use up, so I'm just going to use that. Mix that together. This is what it should look like. You can spray this with cooking spray if you'd like, just to grease it. I am just going to use, I find this is a little bit better. I'm just going to use some shortening. Clean hands, of course. Just grease each one. All right, these are all greased. I have a 1 tablespoon size scoop. I'm just gonna scoop up the batter and drop it in. If you do not have one of these, bet you got one of these tablespoons. So scoop up some, and then you can use a knife or a spatula and just scrape it off like that. Same thing, it'll work. Just gonna get these filled up and into the oven. I preheated my oven to 350 degrees. All right, I got 24 of these. If you don't have a mini muffin pan, you can always use a regular sized muffin pan, and I would use 2 tablespoons in each one. They'd be a little bit bigger and they fit better. I'm going to bake these about 15 minutes because it's a mini muffin pan, so we'll see how that turns out. I need 1/4 cup of butter or margarine melted. Then I need 1/4 cup of sugar and 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, and I'm going to mix those 2 together. I'm going to take these out. It should just come right out. They look like little muffins. Dip it in the butter, and then dip it in sugar, cinnamon. I'm going to get all of these coated, and I will be back. And this is what they look like inside. They're really soft. You can also freeze these if you'd like, and then save some for later. Thanks for hanging out with me today. What are your favorite fair foods? Let me know down below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.